Okay, first of all, while I may be nearly 30 years old, my dad still knows best when it comes to drilling holes and, installing massive TVs like this on my wall. So a big thank you to my dad and also my brother for helping out, and also LG for sending over this 77-inch G10 OLED TV for me to have a bit of a play with. Now, except for perhaps the $25,000 signature 8K OLED TV I saw LG show off at this year's CES, this 77-inch G10 is probably the best TV I've ever seen. Now, I'll save my full review and also, the OLED versus QLED debate and all that good stuff for another video coming soon. But for now, let me show you around the G10, aka the gallery design TV, which in LG's OLED range is one up from the C10, which I reckon will be the most popular model, as it's a lot more affordable than this guy. Well, relatively. I mean, as you'd expect for $6,000, this TV is simply stunning. In fact, it's the most expensive thing in my house and cost almost as much as my car. It's insane. Alright, so here are the headline specs, and while the G10 is 4K rather than 8K, which is reserved for the top-end Z10 signature series and also their top-end nanocell TVs, in every other way this is a flagship with all the bells and whistles you'd expect, and also a few important upgrades for 2020. Now, to mix things up a little bit, a few days ago I posted an Instagram story asking for your questions about this TV. Was there anything that you guys wanted to know? And I got a whole ton of responses. Some pretty serious and quite technical, some not so much. Anyway, I wanted to get you guys some answers direct from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So I jumped on a socially distant Zoom call with a lovely chap called Dean, who's a product expert at LG. I do call myself the tech chap, but I'm not an expert at everything, and you know your TVs probably better than me. So some of my followers and viewers have sent in some questions via Instagram, and I want to put them to you, see if we can get some deep dive answers. Cool?
Let's see if we can help them out. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so the first question from 7770, what's the difference between this and the C9?
First of all, the differences between the 10 series and the 9 series. So the key thing this year is the panel's pretty much the same, but where we've really made the differences is within the processor. So where last year we had the Alpha 9 Gen 2 processor, this year we've gone to Gen 3. So with the Alpha 9 Gen 3 processor, it's understanding what you're watching. So for an example, we have AI picture on board, and what it does, it takes, when it's, a lot of what you're watching is probably not going to be necessarily in 4K, even though it's a 4K TV. So a lot of content you're watching is in HD. So it's how you upscale that which really makes the difference. So AI picture, what it does, it has a database of images built in that it compares to when it's upscaling. So if it's upscaling a tree, for example, a conventional TV would guess what a tree should look like from 2K to 4K. But this has a database of images, so it knows what a tree should roughly look like in 4K. So when it upscales, it's far more accurate. The good thing for 2020 is also learning from what you watch as well. So if you watch a lot of action movies, for example, it will start learning how best to upscale action movies and things like that. So it's starting to learn from the content that you watch. Another part of AI picture is what we call auto genre select. So bearing in mind I work in this industry, I'm quite lazy. I don't actually go, I'm changing what I'm watching, I'm changing the settings. So the TV will automatically, again, understand what sort of content you're watching and adjust the picture settings accordingly. Then you don't have to manually switch from sports mode to movie mode. The TV will do it for you.
Now, I'm lucky enough to have the G10. I should be careful, it's 10,
yes,
right?
G10, I get told off that many a time.
So I've got the G10, which is the gallery design. So can you talk me through the difference between, say, the C series and the G series? Because I know the C is kind of like the most popular.
The good thing with the G series is the panel, again, is pretty much the same as C. The key things are design. So first of all, you've got audio quality. So you've got up to 60 watts 4.2 speaker. So you're getting better audio. Slight change with regards to the voice control as well. So you may notice with the G10 that you don't need to use the magic remote to use the voice. So if you want to operate all your Google stuff, you can just say, hi LG, switch on light.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. I've been still pressing the little mic button on the controller.
Ah, there we go. So all the commands that you do with the magic remote, you can do just by voice.
Open Apple TV.
Going to Apple TV app.
But obviously the main difference is the design. So I see you've just put it on your wall. You can see how flush it is on the wall. So if you want a freestanding TV, the C will do the job. But if you want a wall-mounted TV, the fact that this comes completely flush to the wall with no gap makes it the design element, because you've got literally just the TV on the screen.
All right, so next question from Givey1888. Does it still use WebOS? Even I know that, yes. But what's new with the 2020 with WebOS?
There's a few little tweaks. You'll see we've added new apps this year. So you've now got the Apple TV app. You've got Disney Plus. So our range of streaming services is as good as you can get. The good key thing with WebOS this year is also the way that you can find that content. So you may want to find a bit of content, but not necessarily know which service it's on. So again, using the voice control, you can just say, The Lion King, and it will bring you up all the different services that are showing The Lion King. If you haven't got Amazon and you've only got Disney, you can say only on Disney, and it will just cut that down. So it makes it easier to find your content. Our home dashboard this year is much better as well. So this is where all your connected devices come, USB devices, your HDMI devices, and also your connected stuff. So things like the smart plugs or LG ThinkQ washing machines and fridge freezers show up on this screen. So you can control them and view how your whole connected home is coming up from that smart dashboard. So a few little small changes just to make it more consumer friendly.
I've got a lot of people asking about gaming. So I actually reviewed the C9 last year, and I said it was one of the best gaming TVs you can buy. So let's go into a bit of the nitty gritty about that.
The good thing is that we're down to 1 millisecond now. We've got VRR that's based in there. We've also got G-Sync built into the Oled as well, so you can connect it up. And we also have FreeSync coming via a software update very, very soon. So for a gamer, all the things that you'd be used to just directly on a monitor are now coming onto your TV as well. So it's giving you the best of a monitor, also with that built-in TV OLED element.
Run me through what HDR options we have on the G10.
We cover HLG, we cover HDR10, so all the main formats are on there. The good thing with Dolby Vision this year is we've taken that to the next level as well. So what we've introduced this year is Dolby Vision IQ. So Dolby Vision IQ is about understanding the room conditions, dark or light. So now your blacks are going to look better even in daytime, your brightness is going to look better even in dark rooms. So that's what we've introduced with HDR this year, is the Dolby Vision IQ. We're not forgetting gamers. I know we just talked about gamers, but we've got HDIG, which isn't directly a format of HDR, but what it does, it's about the console or the game's PC talking to the game, talking to the TV. So HDIG is a group of companies, ourselves, along with Microsoft, along with Sony, along with Capcom, EA. So what it can then do is it can tone map the image according to the TV. So the game, the console and the TV are talking all at the same time. So by utilising this HDIG compatibility, you're getting much better HDR in your gaming.
And what's the benefit of the fact that we get HDMI 2.1 ports?
Limitations with HDMI 2.0 where you couldn't get 4K HDR, at the higher frame rate. So now we can get that through HDMI 2.1, but it also offers other things as well. So the ability to utilise things like eARC as well. So if you want to run multi-channel sound through your soundbar or through an audio device, we can carry that from the TV now, where previously with HDMI 2.0 you couldn't do. So with the LG G10 that you've got, and also the rest of our range, it's all ports are HDMI 2.1. So that means you haven't got to worry if you've got two consoles or you've got a PC and a console, which one's taking the best socket.
Now, one of the other new features I noticed as I was jumping through the settings is Filmmaker Mode. Now, I've usually used the Expert Bright ISF mode or cinema modes before. What exactly is Filmmaker Mode?
It means that you're seeing it pretty much as that director intended. Again, less processing from the TV, no additional frame rates, but making sure that the TV is giving you quite a direct representation of what that director intended you to see.
Is it really that much difference from cinema mode? I just noticed it got a bit darker.
Well, the cinema mode doesn't kind of switch as much off. So cinema mode may occasionally add a bit more processing. So cinema mode's more about the color and the settings. Mm-hmm. This is about frame rates and a few bits more like that. So it's like cinema mode plus.
I love it. I was watching a bit of 1917 the other day, put it in Filmmaker Mode. It was perfect, beautiful. And
that's the thing, if you're a movie fan, you're quite, you know what you want from a film, and you can see if it's not quite as it should be. So like say you're watching that, and it does take you back to how it should look in the cinema.
A huge thank you to Dean for taking the time and answering our questions. I found that really helpful. Hopefully you guys did as well. But first impressions are that, how can you not be blown away by this? Yes, the price is kind of eye-watering at £6,000 or $6,000, but considering the size of the thing, it's an OLED panel, up to 120 Hz, as well as new Filmmaker modes, improved response times, better AI upscaling and picture enhancements, plus HDMI 2.1 across the board and eARC for high-end soundbars. And the fact that it sits completely flush against the wall. The whole thing is about 2.4 centimeters thick, and even in my relatively small house, the fact that it is right up against the wall means it looks a little bit less ridiculously big. So as you'd expect, it's a stunning TV, but there's a couple of things that I wish were maybe a little bit different or designed differently. And the first one that stands out to me is the cabling. You can probably see that I've made some attempt to hide it behind this painted bit of plastic, but unless you're willing to drill even more holes in your wall to route the cabling around it so you don't actually have all that stuff hanging out the bottom, which is just even more frustrating than if you actually want to change the cables. It's not ideal, and I have to say I really do wish that they went with perhaps a similar design to Samsung with a One Connect box, where you just have one tiny invisible cable come out and then that plugs into a separate kind of receiver box that you can then place anywhere you want, and so you don't have all the cables hanging down. That's probably my main design criticism. Also, when it comes to setting this up, while I would recommend watching the LG setup video, which honestly makes this such a straightforward process, and I'll put a link below, it also comes with a big sheet of paper which gives you the dimensions of the TV and also like the relative spacing for where the bracket's going to go. What would have been useful is if this piece of paper was actually the size of the TV, so then you could get a better idea of where it's going to sit on your wall, because it's a 2 or 3 man job to wall mount this thing. You kind of have to guess it's like double the height of the sheet. So we did the best we could, but when we first mounted this, it was a bit too high. So we had to drill even more holes and lower it about 6 inches. So one bit of feedback perhaps if they could is just to make that piece of paper the size of the TV, so that then I can put it against the wall, maybe with a bit of tape, and just see where I want it. As I say, stay tuned for my gaming video as well as my TV buying guide, and loads more good stuff coming soon. So if you did enjoy this, make sure you hit that little subscribe button below and give me that little thumbs up if you didn't hate the video. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time right here on the Tech Chap. And if you do actually want to find out more about this, links below and all that good stuff. See you next time.